Well, welcome to Sports and Songs, episode number 23 here. Today is April 20th. My name is Dan. This is Andy also joining us. How are you doing today, Andy?
Doing good, thank you.
Well, very good. Episode 23 here. It's on our hashtag 420, of course. We've got sports, songs, updates, this day in music, this day in sports. We've got birthdays, we've got deaths, we've got bankruptcies in the XFL. We have all sorts of goodies.
A bunch of stuff.
All sorts of fun stuff here today. We're broadcasting live on Be Live, also streaming on Facebook Live right now. We'll get this up on YouTube today as well. So, where would you like to start with today's fun stuff?
We'll start with some good news. We'll start with some postseason NCAA awards. Or not postseason, as in playoff postseason, but end of year awards.
Yeah, no, these seasons... Now, the regular season ended, right? But the postseason for some sports didn't get started, and some sports did, and some sports got halfway done.
Yeah. Hockey and basketball were kind of doing their conference tournaments at the time. And baseball and some spring sports were just getting going. But, for conference tournament, the Big Ten conference tournament was halfway through when this happened. There was a handful of small conferences that did finish in basketball, but hockey was just getting wrapped up, getting ready for their playoffs and everything else. But yeah, no official final tournaments had begun.
Okay. Well, let's
Go ahead.
yeah, let's hit it. Let's see what we've got here for some of our options. We've got a lot of sports. So go ahead.
All right, we'll start with good news for some awards. You're in for NCAA hockey. I know we've mentioned some stuff because Bemidji State had some guys in for the finals. Since they didn't make it, we're not just going to drop it off. We'll still mention it. University of Minnesota Duluth junior defenseman Scott Peronovich is the winner of the 2020 Hobie Baker Award. That's given out the college's top player. It's usually, they announced it this week. I think SportsCenter did something on it. It's usually done during the Frozen Four tournament, so their finals. So that's kind of about where we'd be right now. Last Monday would have been the NCAA Championship Monday. But Scott from UMD, congratulations to him for the Hobie Baker Award. And Maine junior goalie Jeremy Schwaben has been elected as the 2020 Mike Richter Award for Best Goalie in Division I. North Dakota hockey team, I don't know what name they go by anymore. They're always going to be the Sioux to me. Sorry, old school. They're always going to be the Sioux. I think it's the Fighting Hawks or something now. But North Dakota head coach Brad Berry has earned a share of the 2020 Spencer Award, which goes to the college ice hockey coach of the year. And he splits that award with Cornell head coach Mike Schaefer. Those two split the award. Last time that award was split was in 1966. And then Elizabeth Geary of junior forward from Clarkston University was the recipient of the Patty Kazmar Award, which is the girls' version of the Hobie Baker for MVP. So she had that. So congratulations to all those players and the coaches there. It's very good news for them. So that's that news I got there. Got some NCAA basketball awards. NCAA Men's Player of the Year, they call it the Naismith Award, goes to Ogun Toppin. He's a sophomore forward from Dayton. Right now, he's projected to be the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. And if you follow, the number 3 pick belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, exciting news there. We might get the Player of the Year there. And then Sabrina, and I apologize, Sabrina, I'm not going to attempt on your last name. Senior guard from Oregon. She got their Player of the Year award. I'm not going to start. She got their award, and she also went this last weekend as the number 1 pick overall to New York Liberty in the WNBA draft. And we'll cover some of that in a little bit here too. Coach of the Year went to Anthony Grant of Dayton. Dayton had a very nice year this year. Some people were picking that to make Final Four. Women's coach Dawn Staley of South Carolina is Coach of the Year for the women. So that's some of their awards there. Locally, Gopher Baseball had their own postseason awards. We had 4 different guys get awards there. Postseason honors from Division I went to Jack Wassel and Max Meyer, who were selected by the Big Ten Conference's 2020 Breakout Hitter and Most Impressive Pitcher, respectively. Meanwhile, Sam Ireland was named Big Ten Fab Freshman Team, and Zach Rabo, R-A-B-A-B, I probably pronounced that wrong, Zach, sorry, earned honorable mention, not as conference's most impressive hitter in 2020. So two breakout hitter, most impressive pitcher, top fab freshman, and impressive hitter for the Gopher baseball team. Could have been a good team this year, lots of promising things. See who all comes back next year out of that. Because some of the spring sports are allowing guys to come back for another year of eligibility. The way baseball works like hockey, if you do get drafted, you haven't played in the minors, you can. Hopefully these guys stick together, we have a good run here for our team. Basketball, not to be outdone for Gopher basketball, they have been picking up some players on transfers. A lot of that going on now, which is always kind of swept under the rug this time of year because of the finals and everything else. But as we are going on, Gopher women's basketball. Minnesota women's basketball team head coach Lindsay Whalen announced Wednesday the addition of Kyla Mershon to the Gophers program. Kyla is a 6'3" forward from Minnetonka, Minnesota, who spent the first 2 seasons at the University of Nebraska. So, probably seen her here at Big Ten Conference. She's not a little stranger to our format or style of play here, and she's a local girl, so she'll fit in right good. And also Friday, Deja Woodward has joined the program this fall as a junior college transfer. She's a 6'3" forward who played at Jones County Community College in Mississippi last year. So congratulations to those 2 girls joining the Gopher women team. Hopefully we can see some improvement out of them this year. Men's basketball. University of Minnesota head coach Richard Pepino announced Monday the addition of a pair of highly sought-after transfer student athletes, Liam Robbins and Brandon Johnson, joined the Gophers. Robbins spent the previous 2 years at Drake, who has had a good career, good team there. Well, Johnson spent 4 seasons at Western Michigan and will be eligible immediately as a graduate student. So he'll be here for a year or so, but good addition to have. Nice having a leadership on your team. And then Robbins will have to sit out a little bit, but he'll be able to practice with the team, but he'll be able to come in next year. And with everything sitting out this year for some of these sports, I don't know how that's going to work with sit-outs. I'm hoping basketball starts on time next year. They're saying for regular fall sports now they may not start till September or October. Well, October is when practice starts for basketball, so let's hope they all start on time and we get all that going right there. That's what I got for NCAA stuff, Dan. I'm ready to go with some pro stuff. Do you have anything for pro sports?
I've got, how about you go ahead, and I've got a couple notes we can fit in here at the tail section of the sports, but you can go ahead. I got a couple images here to bring up.
All right, just a recap of the NBA draft. The number 6 pick, Micaiah Harrigan. She went to South Carolina. She was the number 6 pick in the first round, and she was picked up by the Lynx. There's a picture over there. Very good player. South Carolina, good team this year. Very impressive stats on her. So looking forward to her coming in and joining the Lynx. They should continue being a good team. The Lynx also in the draft, the second round, the number 4 pick, Crystal Dangerfield out of Connecticut. Connecticut also has some great teams up there, so she's a 5'5" guard. And then also in the third round, the number 2 pick, the New York Liberty drafted her, and then we traded Stephanie Tolbert for Erica Ogwamek from Rice, a 5'9" guard. Rice, I don't know if a lot of you follow Rice basketball, college basketball in Texas. Very competitive team. Texas is very competitive for college basketball. Say you went to Rice though for basketball or football, it's kind of like saying you went to to Minnesota Duluth here. Very competitive, holds its own and everything else. Just they don't get all the national attention and love like the U of M does, or St. Cloud State for hockey and stuff like that. But Rice, very good school. I don't know what school you went to. You get picked in the WNBA draft, you were a good player. Rice is a good program. Very excited to see Erica here and Crystal and of course again Micaiah. Nice picks for the Lynx. I think they're rebuilding. As much as I don't like that word, they'll be rebuilding. They'll be fine. Only about a dozen teams in the WNBA. It's very competitive. So third round pick is still a good player. So it's not a lot of other teams taking talent. And just the other drafts, we got NFL draft coming up this week, April 23rd and 25th. Basketball draft, June 25th starts. The NHL draft is Friday and Saturday, June 26th, 27th. And that's what I got for drafting stuff, sir. How about yourself?
Well, in the NFL news, we've got one death. Tavaris Jackson, 36 years old, former Vikings quarterback. Here, I'll bring him up here on the show. And Tavaris Jackson died this last week. So that was a traffic accident out in Pike Road, Alabama. He died on April 12th. Was 36 years old, former NFL quarterback for the Vikings and the Seahawks. Died in a car crash. So that's one of our notes we've got here for the week. As far as a death for NFL. The other thing that I've got is XFL. Now, XFL, we did get news here just this week that the XFL has declared bankruptcy. You know, they're filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy now. Earlier in the week, they suspended all operations. They shut everything down. They're filing for Chapter 11 now for the league. They just got 5 games in out of their 10-game schedule. And now it looks like they've got them up for sale. I mean, the other thing that they could do is sell it. And if so, I think they're looking with, McMahon's operation there, Commissioner Oliver Luck, maybe someone will come in and buy the league. It's up for sale. It's shut down as far as operations are concerned, but the business isn't shut down yet. So.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are saying with Vince McMahon's ownership in it, saying, "Oh, Vince shut it down. Vince is selling this and that." He only owns like 23% of the league. It's just he's the big names where we look to him for.
Yeah, he's the
majority. He's another big name coming and buying.
He's the majority owner, but they've already said they're going to suspend operations for all of 2021 as well. So if someone does come in and buy it, would they start in 2022?
That would be my guess.
Or could they possibly retract that statement and move forward as if nothing happened next year?
I think they're doing 2022 right now, so if they do sell, they have time to work all that out.
I see.
Between logistics of teams, they keep those teams in those markets, expand, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, so they got the NFL draft coming up here, and that's going to be this starting on what, Thursday or Thursday? Thursday that starts, and so first round picks, that'll be interesting here to see how that shakes out with the Vikings and everybody else. And a lot of mock drafts I'm seeing on the internet now, different versions of mock drafts. Of course, we're into that time of the year. One thing to look for, who does the? Is that on the Dan Barreiro show? Who does the draft pick? The comedian. It's Marty Wexler, right? It's Marty Wexler does a mock. Wexler does a mock draft. He does it from a comedian approach, and that should be pretty funny. That comes out should be out this week. I believe it's Wednesday, and that is usually pretty funny. He does that bit every year, that fake name of Marty Wexler III. And
now, one thing to remember when you hear all the mock drafts like on ESPN or Fox Sports, I know a lot when they do it, they don't figure in trades, people trading draft picks up or down. They go by how you finished the season, what your ranking was in the draft, and they pick that way.
Correct.
You said we take so-and-so, we did. Because they don't figure in trades and everything else. They figure you went straight down the list, the way you finished the season. I mean, figuring, hey, we traded a draft pick 2 years ago for this spot. Those trades, yes, are figured in. But the way it printed in the paper after the last game of the season, in that order, no changes, that's their draft.
Assuming all things being equal, that's the way they do the mock draft. So, yes,
right.
Yeah. They can't go back later and say after some trades that your accuracy was not too correct on that mock draft. But
yeah, they don't fancy book a home going, I think Buffalo's going to trade Seattle this guy and get that. They don't mess with that.
Correct. Yeah, that's all I've got then.
There was one thing we put up on our Facebook page this week. A lot of these fans, sites. What would be your, because it's local, say this one, the Minnesota Twins, starting 5 all time?
All time. So starting pitchers from the Twins. We're not going back to Washington when they were part of the franchise. So
no, just those who played in Minnesota Starting 5 pitchers, in any particular order.
Well, I've got 5 here, and I've got Brad Radke as one of them.
Okay.
I've got Bert Blyleven as one of them. He's because of his strikeout numbers and his innings and the number of innings that guy could pitch.
Yes.
Was unbelievable. Jim Cott, I've got Johan Santana as well. You know, he's got the number 1 highest win-loss winning percentage in Twins history from a starting pitcher perspective. Very high winning percentage. And I got Frank Viola as well.
All right. I got 4 out of 5. I got Blyleven. I got Viola. I got Santana, who's also the only Mets pitcher to throw no hitter. Jim Perry and Jim Cott. He was like Greg Maddux when it comes to Gold Gloves. Cott had a whole bunch of Gold Gloves as a pitcher. Cott, very knowledgeable game, very smart player. I like Jim Perry. Of course, I never saw him play. He was gone soon after I was born. But my mom and my grandma always talked about stories of come down to the Met and see Jim Perry pitch all the time. So I heard the stories. Kind of a honorary tribute pick to my mom and grandma. I picked Jim Perry up on the team. So.
Well, I've got
Viola and Santana.
Yeah, I got 3 that made the honorable mention list. You know, Jim Perry was one of those, and the reason I moved him down is he had a couple of good years, but he also had a bunch of not so good years, and he's before my time as well. And I didn't know this, but they had moved him, you know, in and out of the relief roles, in and out of the bullpen, and then he was a starter, and then he wasn't doing well, and then he was, and so that was the reason I dropped him out of the list. But I also have Camilo Pascual and Mudcat Grant as my honorable mentions.
I had Mudcat, Pascual, and I also had Kevin Tapani on my honorable mention list. I was kind of a big Tapani guy. It was a coin toss between Tapani and Radke, to tell you the truth. I would be that third honorable mention player, but I had Radke on that spot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tapani on that spot.
Yeah, Radke was interesting. I did not think when I had this assignment to look this up that he would even be in there, but the number of innings and the number of starts that he had and the number of batters faced, all in a Twins uniform, and he also had a very low based on balls per 9 inning ratio, very low walks, and he had he's number 4 or 5 in the Twins' history of strikeouts, as well compared to some of these other guys in the list. So. I brought that up as well. You know, Jim Cott, you know, with 3,000 plus innings in a Twins uniform is phenomenal. But that's who we had. Okay, 4 out of 5. That's good.
I put together a starting 5 for the Mets.
Okay.
I threw a Mets one on there. Again, in no particular order, I had Tom Seaver, Dwight Gooden, Jerry Koosman, Ron Darling. And then the 5th spot was kind of up there between Al Leiter and Jacob deGrom.
Okay.
I'm still young enough, doesn't have that much of a career yet for me to say, of course he should be one of the 5 pitchers. Jacob's doing good. He's on there. And then my honorable mention outside would be Noah Syndergaard. He would be listed up there, along with Sid Fernandez would be my honorable mention.
Sid Fernandez. Very good.
Elfrid.
Of course.
Back in the 80s, there were the Mets. Good, they always put K's up in the background every time he struck someone out.
Yes.
Fernandez, they put S's up and say Sid up there.
Oh, they did? Okay. I didn't know. I was not
Sid
aware
was
of
loved
that.
by the crowd. Number 50, because he was from Hawaii.
Okay.
All Hawaii players want to wear number 50. But yeah, so Sid Fernandez, and also Sid and I share a birthday, so we're tight.
Wow. That's good stuff.
Different year. Sid's a little older than I am, but share a birthday. So shout out to my birthday buddy, Sid Fernandez.
Awesome. Anything else for, we got sports history today?
Yeah, we're ready for the sports history part. Now, this will be a little over a week. It's been about 10 days since our last show, so it's be a few different days here. Sports history, April 12th. 1938 Stanley Cup Finals at Chicago Stadium. The Blackhawks beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1 for a 3-1 series win. At the time, that was the only team to win the Cup with a losing regular season record.
Wow. Yeah, that is very very odd, I guess.
Yeah, because right back then, the league wasn't as flooded as it is now with teams. So, 1961, Douglas MacArthur declines an offer to become baseball commissioner. So that could have been interesting. And then 1992, the Mets lose their first 3 home games for the first time since 1962, which the 62 Mets finished 40 and 120 that year, so we don't talk about that very much. April 13th, 1926, at age 38, Walter Johnson pitches his 7th opening day shutout.
The big train?
I mean, 7 opening day wins is great for a career. And at age 38, which back then meant nothing because they played till their arm fell off, opening day shutout. So, 1963, Pete Rose triples in his first major league hit. And then 21 years later, on that same date, 1984, Pete Rose becomes the first 1,000 hits in a career. 1997, for the first time since 1961, 2 doubleheaders were played in the same city, as the Giants versus the Mets, and the A's played the Yankees all in New York. So, New York, Chicago, LA are the only teams that can have a chance for that. Very rarely do they schedule the Mets and the Yankees or the 2 Chicago teams home at the same time. Here now, they're really home at the same time, both on doubleheaders, so that's kind of an interesting fact there. April 14th, 1941, birthday, Pete Rose. He was a player manager for the Reds. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Also, 1966, Greg Maddux, 4-time National League Cy Young Award winner. Birthday, born in Texas. Fact about Maddux, he faced 20,421 batters during his career, and only 310 saw a 3-0 count, and 177 of those were intentional walks. So,
wow,
just amazing pinpoint control he had. April 15th, 1927, Babe Ruth hits his first and on that same date, 20 years later, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African American to play a U.S. Major League Baseball for the Dodgers. You say U.S. Major League Baseball. He was in the minor leagues for the Montreal team, but so maybe that's why they say U.S. Major League. I don't know why you put that in there, but that was in the stat or the sheet I got it off of. 1968, April 15th. Houston Astros beat the New York Mets 1-0 in 24 innings. Game time was 6 hours and 6 minutes. Some stats from that game: the Mets had one double by Ed Charles. They left 16 on base. Runners in the scoring position, they were 1 for 13. Tom Seaver was 1 for 3 batting with a walk, and he pitched 10 innings, giving up 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks or a wild pitch, and faced 32 batters. You would never see a pitcher today go 10 innings, but faced 32 batters in 10 innings. You have 2 hits, do the math. He got it pretty out.
Wow.
Tommy Agee and Ron Swoboda batting 3-4 for the Mets in the lineup, were combined 0 for 20 with 9 Ks. And then, for those of you, Art Shamsky. The reason I bring Art Shamsky, if you ever watch Everybody Loves Raymond, they always talk about Art Shamsky. There he is, Shamsky. Shamsky played for the Mets. He had the best line in that game. He was 2 for 4, started left field and got pulled for a pinch runner. So in a 1-0 game, they were trying everything then. But 0 for 20 for those 2 guys from 9 Ks. And one guy's 2 for 4 and he gets pulled for a pinch runner. Art Shamsky. 1997. Major League Baseball honors Jackie Robinson by retiring the number 42 for all teams. The thing was, when they retired 42 at the time, if you were still wearing it, they let you finish it for your career. They didn't make you change numbers. They weren't issuing it to anyone else. The last player to wear it was Mariano Rivera, the Yankees, so won't stand out there at the end. 2013, the Boston Marathon bombings were on that day. 3 people were killed and 183 injured after 2 explosions near the finish line. Birthdays. 1956, Michael Cooper of the Lakers has a birthday. Michael Cooper was kind of one of my favorite players for the Lakers during Showtime. For some reason, I don't know why, just as a kid, I always liked Michael Cooper as a player. Him, Michael Thompson, Magic, Kareem, James Worthy. Awesome team. And 1971, Davidson Seahorn of the NFL New York Football Giants has a birthday in 1971. I think he's still married to Angie Harmon from TV, from Law and Order, and some other shows. April 16th, 2019, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson becomes the highest paid player in NFL history. A 4-year, $140 million extension, including a $65 million signing bonus, which means he got $65 million for writing his name. That's basically what a signing bonus means. April 16th birthday is 1947. Lou Alcindor, also known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Birthday. 1952. Bill Belichick of Patriots has a birthday. In 1955, Bruce Bochy, also known as a former Major League manager for the Giants. He played managed Giants and Padres early in his career. He's with the Giants from 2007 to 2019. During his playing career, Bochy was a catcher for the Astros, the Mets, and the Padres. Prior to becoming the Giants manager, he managed the Padres for 12 seasons. He led the Giants to 3 World Championships and led the Padres to the one only World Series appearance. And he's the 11th manager in Major League Baseball with 2,000 wins. That's his record is 2003 and then 2,029 losses. So that's his overall record as a manager. So under 500 overall, but hey, a lot of the Padre teams are bad too. So April 17th, 1869. The first pro baseball game was played. The Cincinnati Reds 24 against the Cincinnati Amateurs 15. 1953, Mickey Mantle hits a 565-foot home run in Washington, D.C.'s Griffith Stadium. 1964, the first game at Shea Stadium, and that's lose to the Pirates 4-3. Birthdays. 1820, Alexander Cartwright, American sportsman, recognized as the inventor of modern baseball, was born in New York City. April 18, 2008, NBA owners give approval for the potential Seattle Supersonics relocation at the relocation, Oklahoma City, on a 20-2 vote by the Board of Governors. April 18th birthdays, Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers. Never forgets Miguel started his career with the Marlins. The Marlins won a world championship down there, so you go. Poor Miguel, he's been on the Tigers and never had a ring. He got one early in his career, he's fine. April 19th, 1989, Kevin Elster of the Mets sets an airless shortstop mark at 73. The streak he got through 88 games, so 88 games without an error, so it's just over half a season. Birthdays, we mentioned him earlier, 1960, Frank Viola, pitcher for the Mets and the Twins, Cy Young winner in 1988. Birthday, April 19th. April 20th, New York Mets' Tom Seaver's first victory beats the Cubs 6-1. 1988, Baltimore Orioles set a worst record to start the season with 0-14. They ended up going 0-21 and finished the season at 54 and 107. 1987, Mark McGwire is the fourth player to hit a home run at Detroit's Tiger Field on the left field roof. The only other players to do it, of course, are McGwire, Cecil Fielder, not surprising, Frank Howard. If you know baseball history, Frank Howard, that's really not surprising either. And Harmon Killebrew of the Twins. The 4 guys to do that. Birthdays. Don Mattingly, New York Yankees. He was 1985 MVP and was born this day 1961. That is all I got for sports history, sir. I say we head off into the songs or music section of the show.
All right, that sounds good. We'll be back with that. All right, let's get into some music here, Andy.
All right, those of you on the Facebook Live now, you see the picture that's off. Links to all our different social media sites. So,
yeah, we got our next to the Hams beer guy there, and that is our photo we took there at the show. And there's the links of where you can contact us to reach our social media accounts. Go ahead, Andy. We got lots of music to cover today.
Yes. First of all, as I go through the music stuff, you're going to hear a lot of names repeated. It was just the way it came up in history books. I wasn't picking out favorites, just the way it came up. April 12th, Garth Brooks released his debut album, 1989, on April 12th. So, his career turned out okay. 1988, Sonny Bono of the famous Sonny and Cher duo was elected mayor in his hometown of Palm Springs, California. He held the position in 1992. In 94, he was elected to Congress. So he went to Congress. A few years after that, he did die tragically in a downhill skiing accident. But Sonny Bono. 1999, Billy Joel's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2 becomes just the fourth album to reach certified by the RIAA as double diamond for sales of over 20 million in the U.S., followed by Michael Jackson's Thriller, Eagles' Greatest Hits 1971-75, and Pink Floyd's The Wall. So that's four incredible albums right there. That's a good company to be in right there. April 13th, 2001, Kiss wraps up their quote-unquote farewell tour with a show in Australia. Just 2 years later, they do head out on a world domination tour. And of course, they would be on tour right now if we weren't on lockdown. There was a suspicion of their end of the world tour. Is that what it was called?
The End of the Road.
End of the road tour, yes. After 9 years of very public marriage, Billy Joel and Chrissy Brinkley announced they have separated. They divorced later on that year. So, there's that one. 1951, birthday, drummer Max Weinberg of the Bruce Springsteen E Street Band is born. Max was also the drummer on David Letterman's show. David Letterman was the drummer on that show also. April 14th, 1988, Public Enemy's sophomore album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, is released. Often cited as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, the album spawns such PE classics as Don't Believe the Hype, Night of the Living Bassheads, and Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, as well as the original song of Bring the Noise, which they did later with Anthrax later on, I believe, wasn't it? Dre and someone else did Bring the Noise. 1980, Judas Priest released British Steel, landmark album containing Living After Midnight and Breaking the Law. I know I've mentioned that in the past, some of your albums of the week, that's a great album. One of the best metal albums ever, British Steel. And also in 1980, Iron Maiden released their self-debut title album. So that band does get a lot of respect. Iron Maiden, good stuff. April 15th, 1972, Billy Joel plays a concert at the Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia, which is broadcast on a local radio station, WMMR. After the show, the station puts the performance of Captain Jack in rotation, and Joel built a following. This leads to a contract with Columbia Records, which released Joel's breakthrough album Piano Man in 1973. April 15th, 1966 birthdays. No description, I'm just going to say it. Samantha Fox. Rick Cash, that's for you. April 16th, 1996. Kiss performs at the Grammys in full makeup and costume and just the whole Kiss 9 yards. It's just the second time since 1980 that all four members had been on stage together. Now, it doesn't count the 1995 MTV Unplugged thing, so where they all originally showed up on stage there. That's when they decided to get back together again. April 17th, 1971. Each of the four ex-Beatles has a solo hit on the UK charts. John Lennon's Power to the People, Paul McCartney, Another Day, George Harrison, My Sweet Lord, and the other guy, Ringo Starr, It Don't Come Easy. April 18th, 2012, pop music's idol, American Bandstand host Dick Clark, dies of a heart attack at age 82. America's oldest teenager, he was called. I remember watching Bandstand growing up. He used to do the New Year's Eve show all the time. Dick Clark's rocking New Year's Eve. He dies of a heart attack at 82. Many artists got their huge break appearing on Bandstand, which he hosted from 1965 to 1989. So Dick Clark passed away in 2012. 19 1987, MTV finally acknowledges the existence of heavy metal, the debut of Headbangers Ball, a weekly show dedicated to that genre. I remember watching it. It'd be a little half-hour show. I think it went to an hour later on. That time only was just all hair bands, metal bands. They played that. They didn't show up through the regular mix throughout the day, but that was here one time to see that. I think they threw it out like at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday or Saturday or something like that. But we got ours then. That's when we did the VCR. You had the second time we recorded. We did. April 19th, 2017. Kid Rock and Ted Nugent joined Sarah Palin in the White House for a personal tour from President Donald Trump. Which is, just look at that picture, that's beautiful. That'd be a great Christmas card. 1986. You don't have to watch Disney to have an attitude. Or you don't have to watch Dynasty to get an attitude. Song, line from a Prince song. Prince has the number one in the U.S. with his song Kiss. The number two song, Manic Monday by the Bangles, is one he also wrote. So Kiss had the number one song by Prince there. Manic Monday, written by Prince, performed by the Bangles, was number two. Birthdays, 1953, rock drummer Rod Morgenstein of Winger was born in New York. I believe now he teaches college music at a local college in New York. And finally, April 20th, 1963, Rick Nelson marries his first wife, Chris Harmon, daughter of college football legend Tom Harmon, and sister to actor Mark Harmon in Los Angeles. Pregnant Chris gives birth to their daughter Tracy only 6 months later. The couple divorces in 1982. So that's all I got for birthdays, sir. You, the album of the week.
Well, we got a lot of music there, a lot of good stuff. The album that I've been listening to this week, we're going to cover on the Today Show, is Judas Priest, 1980, album called British Steel. And so I know you just got done talking about that, but one thing I've always liked is the album cover here. Is the album cover with the razor blades there. Razor blade, I should say. So that's what I'm going to be covering today. That's their 6th studio album by English heavy metal band Judas Priest, released by Columbia Records. It's the band's first album to feature drummer Dave Holland. Dave Holland makes his first appearance on this album. 36 minutes long. The album was. They recorded this on the grounds of Titanhurst Park in the studios. In December 1979 is when they did the recording of this. And remember the song Breaking the Law that was featured on this as well. Some of the sound effects in the background were quite violent. But what really happened there was they were smashing milk bottles that the milkman delivery man delivered earlier that morning. They smashed those for the sound effects. And they also had some billiard cues that were snapped and some trays of cutlery dropped on the floor for sound effects. And that was the sound effects back in the day there, 1979 in December when they used that. The previous album for Judas Priest was a live album called Unleashed in the East that was released in 1979, and then the following year was, after the British Steel, was Point of Entry, 1981. The band was Rob Halford on vocals, K.K. Downing on lead guitars, Glenn Tipton lead guitars, Ian Hill bass, and Dave Holland, like I said, on the drums. That was Dave Holland's first album with the band on the drums. Now we do know that the Judas Priest background was always very heavy metal, very hard, but then later it came out that the sexuality of these individuals was all very strange, and we do know Rob Halford came out as gay early on. He was picked up. He joined the band. He was a manager of a porn cinema at the time when he was picked up by Judas Priest to be the lead singer. And a porn cinema back then was almost like you see these peep shows almost here in America, those types of things. There was no really video or DVD for porn, so he was working at that type of a establishment at the time. Now his sister went on to marry Ian Hill, the bassist, and Ian Hill was a straight man. Married Rob Halford, the gay man's. Some drums later came out that he was bisexual. Actually served some prison time, a little bit of a prison time there for doing some sexual related things to a young boy that came over for some drumming lessons. And so he served some prison time with that. This album, British Steel, came out platinum. It went platinum on the charts. And I'm going to read off the songs here. Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Breaking the Law. And Breaking the Law was the second single released. That hit also 1980, Breaking the Law. That became one of their biggest hits. Grinder was song number 4. United, song number 5. That was released later on, August 15th of 1980. And this album's 40 years old. And so that was one of their other songs. They tried to do an anthem song with United, something they could charge with, almost like what Queen had, where "We Are the Champions," kind of feeling to that. Side 2 on the cassette was "You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise," "Living After Midnight." Now, "Living After Midnight," interesting note, that also went as a single. That was their first single release, March 21st of 1980. The song title came about when Glenn Tipton woke up Rob Halford with his loud guitar playing at 4 a.m. in the morning during the studio sessions. The band was staying at Titanhurst Park to record the British Steel, and Halford woke up and said to Tipton, "Boy, you're really living after midnight, aren't you?" Tipton replied that Halford's comment was a great title for the very song he was working on. Always some good stuff there with Glenn Tipton and some of these guys. Very good guitarists, both of them are ranked in the top 20 on many charts. Both of those, and so that was released as a single in March. The album was later remastered in 2001, adding 2 bonus tracks. The studio track Red, White, and Blue. And then they also had a second bonus track, a live performance of the song Grinder. That was performed in 1984 in Los Angeles during their Defenders of the Faith tour. Now in 2009, I never finished the rest of the songs after Living After Midnight. Song 8 was The Rage, and the final song was Steeler on that. 9 songs on the album. And now with the final note, in the 30th anniversary of the release of this album, they did in 2009 an anniversary tour in the U.S. by playing the British Steel live in its entirety for the first time in concert. All 9 of these songs. Excellent. As far as a critical.
Every time you hear Breaking the Law, I think of Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yes. They got a lot of play, and also in video games. A lot of games they use a lot of the music from the Judas Priest band on various video games. One was 5 out of 5 stars on AllMusic. In fact, they went on to explain that this album really kick-started the heavy metal glory days of the 1980s. It was this album that drove a lot of that. And it's listed as number 3 on the Rolling Stone list of 100 greatest metal albums of all time. Number 3. And it's one of those albums that you must listen to before you die. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Any memories for you from this album, Andy?
Well, there was one song, Living After Midnight, going back to the 80s, AWA Wrestling, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Midnight Rockers. That was their song they came out to. Living After Midnight. So, little wrestling fact there for you again today.
Yeah, good stuff. I like that. It's a good CD. All those songs are good. And in fact, imagine going to that concert, the 30-year anniversary, listening to those 9 songs played in order of the entire album at the concert.
And like I said before, Rob Halford's a great follow on Instagram.
Yes, very talented guy. In fact, reading through this review, the vocals that he was able to do really put a lot of other vocalists to shame. because of the range that guy had, and the guitarist, unbelievable, drumming, very good, bassist, unbelievable, and that bassist, was married to Rob Halford's sister for a time, and then they got divorced, and he was later, I think, remarried 2 other times, but Halford went through a lot of issues with drugs and alcohol, then got himself clean and sober, and to this day is a sober guy. It's unreal what how much his life has changed. He had kept the fact about his sexuality hidden and secret for so long, and once he finally got that out, it really opened things up. But he did a lot of drugs and alcohol back in those days. All right, anything else, Andy? Once again, this is April 20th, 2020. This is episode 23, Sports and Songs.